Hey, Monica here. Thanks for listening to this clip from our full podcast. Stick around while we build you the best place for conspiracies, weird history, true crime, and fun facts. Now, on to the clip. We are going to play Two Truths and a Lie, Murder Edition.
Oh, this is going to be good. I can already tell. Monica, what are the rules for this game? How do we play?
So the rules are pretty simple. I'm going to share briefly 3 stories, and you're going to determine which one of the stories is a lie. So 2 of them will be true, 1 will be a lie. It's your job to guess.
Okay.
First up, we have the Bunny Man from Fairfax County, Virginia in 1970.
I love the image that you have here. It's so creepy.
It's so creepy. So a man runs around dressed like a rabbit, terrorizing people before killing them with a hatchet. And why don't you go ahead and share the picture?
It's a picture of, let's say, a white Easter Bunny costume, but it's mostly red from blood. And the bunny is holding what looks like a hockey stick. So I can only imagine that he bludgeoned his victims to death. And then in the background, it looks like he's in the forest or maybe standing in front of a house with a lot of trees. And the font and color, it's like creepy, all disjointed, and it's green.
So could you just even imagine that? Like someone dressed up in a white bunny costume terrorizing people. But that is an urban legend from Fairfax County, Virginia.
It's not too far off from like someone dressing up in a clown costume.
Right? Yeah. So I don't know. Then we have Lover's Lane murders. So Monica, are you familiar with what a Lover's Lane is?
Yes. Go to park in the dark.
And make out other
parking. You're going parking.
Yeah, you're going parking. You may get past third base. We don't know. That's between you and the person you're parking with.
The police officer may knock on your window and then you're scrambling.
Yes, exactly. So where I say anywhere in the USA, I feel like Lover's Lane murders is the type of urban legend that you hear everywhere, anytime. Like I have been hearing of this Lover's Lane murder for decades. It just seems like my dad said that it was something, they were scared of. Usually it has to do with a man with a hook, right? But
wow, okay.
Yeah, but basically an axe murderer goes around killing couples who drive up to Lover's Lane and make out. So that is the urban legend, and there's plenty of them. The third one that I'm going to share is escaped mental institution patient. So where? This story is from Indiana, when 1979. And what? A mental patient escapes the hospital to terrorize his old hometown and has a fixation with tormenting his sister and murdering her friends.
Oh, Monica, based on our last episode, which was talking about insane asylums and all the bad things that happen to people there, I can definitely someone with severe issues wanting to take revenge.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too. So all these sound super creepy to me, and I wouldn't want to come across any one of them. But the thing is, you could have come across 2 of them. So are you ready for the reveal? I'll go through them one at a time.
All right.
All right. So the Bunny Man, what was your initial instinct with that?
I think it's possible, but I'm going to side with that's the lie.
So Bunny Man is actually a true story.
What?
I thought for sure that, like I said, back in Virginia in 1970, now this was a little bit of a trick. Nobody died, but there was a man who dressed in a bunny suit and terrorized people. And this all happened within 10 days of each other and then just never happened again. This story of the Bunny Man has been in the Virginia area and even up into Maryland for a long, long time. So eventually, Brian Connolly, who is a local historian, discovered that back in 1970, there were 2 sightings of a man in a bunny suit. So the first one was that an Air Force cadet and his girlfriend were parked in a car. They said that they were not making out, by the way. That's what they said. Sure. When they saw a man dressed as a rabbit attack them, yelling that they were trespassing before he broke their car window.
Oh my God, terrifying.
Yeah. So they reported the incident to the police, who then found a hatchet in their back seat that he had thrown through the window.
Okay, so definitely true. It's based on a true story.
Yeah, and then later, a security guard found a man dressed in a bunny suit hacking away, not at a body part, but at a new home that was under construction. And then he yelled at the security guard that he was trespassing.
It's the same dude.
It's got to be the same. Like, that is weird.
Yeah, to use that word.
Luckily, nobody was injured, and they never found the culprit. And like I said earlier, no other incidents reported. That's just weird. Like, that one is just
that
weird.
Is so weird. And I can see how it would become legend because this person was never found. They never found the costume. Sightings seemingly stopped. But you know it happened twice.
Oh, yeah. So how creepy. Now, as legends go, and I think one of the reasons why this turned into an urban legend is because people then started like killing rabbits and hanging it off of a bridge. You know, they went for like whole hog.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, that would just take it to the next level.
Right. But there is an origin to why it spooked people so many years ago. So we'll go on to the next one. Lovers Lane murders. What was your instinct on this?
I think this probably happened. I mean, the son of Sam went around shooting couples in their car, but they weren't exactly in a lane parking. So I think that this probably is based on true events that have happened across the country.
Yes, and you're correct. I mean, there are so many Lovers Lane serial killers. So there's several Lovers Lane serial killers out there, and one of them is the Atlanta Lovers Lane murders. Have you ever heard of them? I know you are super into true crime, so I'm really anxious to see which ones you've heard of.
You know, it doesn't come to mind.
Okay, so this happened in 1977 in Atlanta. The Atlanta Lovers Lane murders. Pretty straightforward there. So 3 unsolved shootings. So the first couple died of their wounds. They were naked and swerved off the road because they had been shot, then like tried to get in the front seat and then get to help, and they couldn't, and they died of their gunshot wounds and went off the road.
Oh my God.
And that's how they were found. Yeah. And people had said they had seen them at the local Lovers Lane. And then a month later, 2 teenagers were shot while in the act of sexual intercourse. Another spot for making out. This place, Atlanta, has more than one Lovers Lane area, and they were in a different one, but they both survived. Yeah, but it was the same gun that had shot the first couple. And then a month after that, an engaged couple was at the same park, and the girl died after the murderer unloaded 6 shots into the vehicle. And this person was never caught.
Wow.
And probably moved on.
Oh, yeah.
So what they said is that these Lover Lane murders in Atlanta, they were really trying to be hot on the case, but then guess what happened also in 1977? And now this one I know you know.
Is that the missing boys?
Yeah, so the Atlanta child murders. Yep. And then so all focus went on that. So there was another Lovers Lane murder in Houston, Texas in 1999. And now this wasn't a serial killer, but it was really brutal murder in a Lovers Lane, and they couldn't figure out who did it. And, you know, it involves someone being sexually assaulted, murdered, tied to a tree, just, very grisly.
These are really grisly.
They were really grisly for me. I think that's why I was a little apprehensive to even, every time we'd be like, oh no, we need to push this off. I was like, oh yeah, that's okay.
So please spare my purity.
Yes. So then there was another one. So this was for me really my introduction to Lovers Lane murders because I love older true crime. So 40s and before. That's really where I always like to get my true crime stories from. And so these were the Moonlight Murders, and they took place in Texarkana, Texas, and Texarkana, Arkansas. So this guy, he attacked 8 people, 5 of whom died. Most of them were on a Lover's Lane. There was some pretty bad trauma that happened with him using the pistol of his gun to do things you would never want done with the pistol of the gun. And those people survived. But then he did go on to kill some more women. And then it ended up like what was the climax, and then really nothing happened after that, is that he attacked someone on their front porch and he murdered that man. Then when his wife went to look outside, he shot her in the face, but she survived.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, and then nothing happened. So that was another thing where I think the attacker moved on and probably died somewhere else.
I would think that's probably accurate.
So I think one of the most famous Lover's Lane style murders were known as the Colonial Parkway murders in Virginia. Now, had you heard of those?
No.
Okay, and the reason that I say that they were probably the most famous is because I think the Oxygen Network did like a huge thing on them, and there is a lot out there.
It sounds.
And with all these murders, unfortunately, it's so sad that a lot of this starts to run together.
That's exactly what happens to me.
Because, these people, like, they're real people with real tragic lives. And it's really sad how they were just targeted for doing something that's just natural that not all of us, but most of us have done before. And Monica, there are many, many more Lover's Lane murders. I dug one up from 1956 in Waco, Texas. And of course, the first two victims of the Zodiac Killer were in a Lover's Lane in California. As you mentioned earlier, the son of Sam is also considered a Lover's Lane killer. And in fact, I uncovered a list of 10 unsolved Lover's Lane murders, and only 2 of the ones I mentioned earlier were on there.
Oh, wow. I had no idea there were so many.
Yeah, so the urban legend of be careful if you're going to go make out in a car in the dark, I get why you would be scared of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And here I thought the worst thing that we had, to be afraid of was getting caught by the police or running out of gas, your engine dying.
Yeah. Yeah. More than your engine could die. So finally, on this game of 2 truths and a lie, we get to the escaped mental patient who tormented his sister in Indiana. Now, Monica, what was your initial reaction to this?
I thought it sounded a lot like the exact plot of the franchise Halloween and the first Halloween movie.
Yes, and you would be correct because that's straight where I stole that from.
Halloween night. A small American town. 15 years ago. Michael?
I spent 8 years trying to reach him, and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. I think he'll come back.
Just so everyone knows, that is not based on a true story. If you want to know any more about movies that are based on true crimes, horror stories that are based on true crimes, you can head back onto season 1 and check that out in our spooky season episodes. Thanks for listening. Make sure to subscribe if you want more conspiracies, weird history, true crime, and fun facts.